Well, thank you very much indeed. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where everyone is. My name is Alex Story. I'm the co-founder and CEO of REOMNIFY. And we're focused on enabling better decision-making through data in real estate. There's never been more data generated by cities, and some industries, such as digital marketing, have been very good at accessing that data and really utilizing it to drive outcomes in their business. But real estate has been somewhat slower to adopt this, and we see it as our mission to help real estate companies across the value chain understand the different types of particularly non-traditional data that are available to them and help turn it into usable insight for them. So really, we gather very, very broad ranges of location data, turn it into insights, match it with our customers' data, and drive profitable decisions. And just to give you, before I go into some case studies as to how that works in practice, just to give you a high-level overview of how that really works. So at REOMNIFY, we ingest a very, very large amount of available data in cities from various different sources. And broadly, they fit into about 5 different categories. So consumer data, which could include credit card activity, mobile phone activity, how people are interacting with certain apps, traffic, either foot traffic or things like Uber data, etc. We also then ingest points of interest data and clean and keep that up to date. So in the markets we operate, we try and build the largest, most comprehensive point of interest data lake. Thirdly, we spend a lot of engineering time analyzing satellite imagery. So for example, a recent project in Singapore, we were looking at identifying all of the different green spaces using computer vision applied to satellite imagery of that state. We then bring in real estate data, mostly through partnerships, and then ingest the customer's own data, which we obviously keep confidential, so that they can include that in our analysis and in the visualizations as well. We then have various AI-based tools internally that we use to generate either just simple data feeds or specific insights and indices, or real estate valuations. Now, a lot of these data sources in particular are what we call non-traditional to real estate, particularly things around like points of interest and consumer data. And we see this as really critical to what we do. So according to McKinsey, about 60% of your predictive power when you're looking at assessing real estate comes from these non-traditional data sources. And I guess one of the more famous examples is the impact of having a Starbucks built close to some residential real estate and the huge impact that has on valuation. So we're trying to take this to the nth degree by taking in these huge data sets. So to give you a few examples about how that works in practice. So firstly, on the residential side, we can help our customers much better understand the changing nature of neighborhoods. So you go way beyond just looking at comparable sales prices, etc. So that could be around the gentrification of an area, the availability of local green spaces. We've gone into automated valuation modeling, family friendliness of an area, etc. And typically we work with property portals to offer that. So currently we're working with Property Guru, which I believe is the largest real estate portal in Asia, certainly in Southeast Asia. And they can therefore make the search experience much richer for their customers who are trying to find the right house or apartment for them. Secondly, in commercial location strategy, this is an area we're partnered with JLL in Asia to help companies like retailers or co-living operators or co-working operators really find the specific area or site that is right for their business. So we can look at obviously all of these different changing elements in a specific neighborhood, but we can also look at the specifics of that business, what has driven success in their top performing sites elsewhere, and what those lookalike sites look like in, for example, new cities. And then thirdly, becoming increasingly active in investment diligence. So 2 examples, we're working with one of the largest house builders in Asia and also one of the largest asset managers globally for them to be able to add extra insight to some investments that they're looking to make at the moment. So it's really at that late due diligence stage, giving them a lot more insight. Now, in terms of where we tend to focus, there are 3 broad areas where we think we can add the most value. Firstly, in lower transparency markets. So we've started in Asia, but are looking to expand beyond that. But also that includes tier 2 cities, for example, in developed markets. Secondly, accelerating real estate trends. So where you see, for example, the changing face of retail, or the growth of co-living and co-working, or the increased interest in sustainability or wellness of buildings. This is where there's typically less insight coming from historic information and historic heuristics, and that's where we can add a lot more information. And then thirdly, around highly volatile periods, which obviously we're finding ourselves in at the moment. So where trends are changing very, very quickly and behaviors are changing very quickly, a lot of our data sources can be lead indicators to what we expect to see happen in real estate 6 or 12 months further down the line. In terms of our leadership team, myself and Girish are co-founders. My background is initially in real estate finance and retail strategy consulting, and then spent 6 years running partnership teams at Google. Girish is a 15-year very experienced data scientist, and Tajay, an ex-senior engineer at Google, is our main technical advisor. We have 3 engineers working for us in India and 6 interns here in the US. And we've been working actively on live projects since the beginning of this year in some of the areas that I mentioned previously. So initially in Singapore and India, now have live projects in Australia and entering Thailand and Indonesia. And I've recently moved to the US at a very strange time to help us launch our business over here. So we're very actively looking for companies that would like to trial our solution and set us some problem statements. We're also starting to hire remotely, but also we are now entering into a process of raising our seed round of around $1 million US. And we'd really like the opportunity to discuss that with anyone who may be relevant. And I'll be on the Slack channel for the rest of today if anyone has any questions. Thank you very much indeed.